All right, let's get started. So, we're going to create a whole new character on Aerolith, and I'm just going to show you getting started in Skull and like how you have a little better idea of what you should be doing. Obviously, you should ask questions in the Discord, seek knowledge, do some control F, do some searching around, see if other people have asked these questions in the past, and try to pick up on some knowledge and learn. But there are things that, if you're new to Neverwinter and Dungeons and Dragons and all of that in general, like I said, Aerolith, I've said before, I should say, Aerolith kind of overhauls a lot of the stuff that you would normally the way you would normally play it, like in vanilla or whatever. So if you're used to playing like a lot of the modules or the campaigns and stuff, the way that it's done in Aerolith is a lot different. There's a lot of changes to feats, spells, classes, all sorts of stuff, right? Even certain skills change on how like for instance, like lore on this server is a very key skill because it allows you to use scrolls and like identify and all sorts of stuff. So that's like one big change. Um, Whereas like UMD is used to like identify different magical stuff like wands and other shit. But we're just gonna make a basic fighter. My recommendation, if you're new to the server and you want to make a character, I highly recommend just starting as a human. There are a lot of other races you can start off with, and as you play on the server more and you get characters, the minimum to roll a character is 16 and it goes all the way up to 30, right? The cap on the server is level 30, but it's starting at 16. If you decide you want to delete your character, you can roll him for an award, and those awards you can use to do different things with. You can either use it to like if it's like a minor award, you can use it to do a level 8 start on a new character. Teach a new character a bonus. This is all used for new characters, by the way. So these awards you can use on new characters, and you can teach them like additional languages, unlock a unique race to use just for that character. So maybe I think Knolls are a minor award now. They may have bumped them. I can't remember entirely, but like, let's say you want to play a Knoll, you use a minor award, and then you can select a Knoll on character creation to play as and such. So there's unique ones that are tied to these different awards. The higher level character that you roll, the better chance you have of rolling like higher tier awards, and getting these awards can then unlock more unique stuff for you, like actual unique classes tied to those awards, or like I said, races and stuff tied to those awards. So that's like things to work into the long run, and why there's a lot of replayability on the server, because you want to like work towards being able to create these really fun characters, right? And I played like a lot of this content that not a lot of people may have active, right? So I highly recommend a human though in the beginning. There's a lot of other races you can select: half orc, half elf, elves. If you want to play in the Underdark, drow, dwarfs, you have all these things you can start with. But a human is a really good one to just learn on in general, because a human, you get this quick to master, which basically gives you an extra skill points. So you're getting like one extra skill on the character, but then on top of that, being a human, you get one extra feat as well at level 1. So it allows you to do some really extra stuff. It is very, very helpful. That extra feat at level 1 and the extra skill points go a long way for a lot of builds. And it sometimes is like kind of optimal and needed, almost like a necessary for some builds to have that additional feat. So I highly recommend just starting as a human. It's very, very straightforward and very good to learn on. And then when you feel more comfortable with how everything works and such, then dip into other races and learn about what builds work and don't for them. But if you're new to everything, it's I highly recommend starting as a human. And as a human, you can either start on the surface, you can start as an exile and start in the Underdark, or you could start as a slave in the Underdark if you wanted to too. And you can also start as a pirate as well if you want to get into like doing all the pirate stuff. But I would recommend waiting on the pirate stuff. I would definitely recommend just learning the server more and a lot more about the core mechanics of the server. And when you feel a lot more comfortable with how to build characters and like level and get your way around a little bit easier with the systems, then I would suggest moving on to something else like doing pirate stuff or whatever else, because that's a whole other system on top of that. So it can be a little overwhelming trying to learn that on top of everything else. So we're just gonna select that. We're gonna just play a basic fighter, just to show you, and we'll make him fucking chaotic neutral. Just basic fighter. Depending on like certain classes and stuff, if you're not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons stuff, these alignments definitely help with your not only your role play of the character. Like obviously if you have an idea in mind of how you want the character to be, choose an alignment that fits within that role play you're going for on this server. But also it's like certain classes that you want to play, you need to be certain alignments in order to. So if you wanted to play a paladin, you have to be lawful good, you can't be anything else. If you want to be able to play a monk, you have to be some sort of lawful in general. There's like certain classes that you have to be evil, there are some that you have to be good, so it's there is some restrictions depending on like the build you're going for. But for what we're doing, we don't have any restrictions on any of the stuff we're picking, so we just need to meet a few requirements. We're going to take lore master levels, but for the sake of this we're not going to bother with it. It's just we're just going to be taking some fighter levels. So now, depending on the build that you want to go for, so for instance, we're doing fighter. I'm going to go for more strength. I think we take... Are we using the gift for this? Oh, we are using the gift for this. Okay, so... All right, yeah, it's good enough. So, one of the other bonuses to playing a human that's unique to this server is that depending on the race you pick, you have what's called ECL, or effective character level. And that is that when creating a new character, depending on the race that you pick, determines how many gifts you get in the beginning. Every person gets some kind of gifts that can boost your character a little bit in the beginning. But depending on which boosts you choose will add to your effective character level. Now, the only thing ECL does is it affects your XP gain per, like, kill. So if you had, like, 0 ECL and you made a character, you'd be getting a lot of XP per kill. Versus a character who's like 2 or 3 or 4 ECL, they'd be getting less XP per kill. But that's about really all ECL does, is it affects it. So a lot of people don't really think much into it, right? I wouldn't think much on the ECL. It's not the worst thing in the world to really worry about. The thing about humans is they're considered a 0 ECL in the beginning. So you're going to get what's called 2 major gifts. I should explain. The gifts are split between major and minor gifts. Major gifts allow you to get +2 into certain attributes, along with, like, I think a few other side things. And then minor ones allow you to do like more stuff related to skills and like a couple other additional stuff. You'll see what they are later in a bit here when I do it. But with humans, because they're 0 ECL, we get 2 major gifts. And typically what we're going to do with those 2 major gifts is we're going to give ourselves +2 into 2 different stats. So right now we're setting up our core with the points we start with. So right now I have 17 strength and 14 constitution. But when we get to the gifts part, it's going to turn this into 19 strength and 16 constitution. So we're going to get some boosts there out of that. What I've done here is taken my intelligence up. I made sure I have a little bit more intelligence to help with that. Each, if you don't know like how it kind of works in like 3rd edition D&D, is that like your intelligence modifier gives you additional skill points on top of whatever your class restriction is for the skill points. Each class has a different. It's usually like a 4 plus your int modifier or 6 plus your int modifier and stuff like that, right? It's like each class is different. You have to look at your class page and figure out how many skill points you're going to get per level. But as a human, we're getting 1 additional skill point per level already as a human, and then if we boost our intelligence modifier, we can boost that up a little bit more. So this allows us to select more skills in the end to help with our build more, because we're going to need a little bit more points to do what we want to do. Once that's done, you're going to come to the packages here. Now, in normal Neverwinter, like, these are all defined, like, default, like, packages that already automatically put skill points into stuff for you. But on Aerolith, I'm going to tell you, go to configure packages. Don't bother with any of these. Go to configure packages. Now, you're going to see you have skill points here. What I'm going to tell you is, on Aerolith, do not select any skills at level 1. Don't do it, all right? When you create your character, you're automatically going to be jumped to level 2, and then whenever you get to, like, the city and you do your starting mission there, which usually has you walk around the city, or if you're in Skull, it's to just go to the mayor's office, then you get hit level 3. So don't bother putting points at level 1. And the big reason for this is that the server has, like, a re-level command that used to be just to the DMs, but they've now, like, kind of given the player the ability to do so. And so if you select all your skills at level 1 and you decide, oh shit, I shouldn't have taken that skill, you're kind of SOL. So it's best to just leave this empty at level 1. It just hit okay. You don't lose these points. These just accumulate. Whatever points you don't use per level, they just accumulate and transfer over to the next level. So you're not losing them. So we're just going to hit okay. And now we're going to take our 3 feats. So at level 1, you get 1 feat, right? You get 1 general feat. As a fighter, you get an additional feat at level 1. And then as a human, because of that quick to master thing, quick to learn, we now have another feat. So we technically start with 3 feats at level 1. This is why I say starting as a human is very beneficial for some builds. So I think for us, this build says to take Luck of Heroes and Strong Soul. So we'll take it. Luck of Heroes is a feat you can only take at level 1. And it gives you basically +1 universal save. You get +1 fortitude, +1 will, and +1 reflex. So we'll take that because we can. Hit or miss on some of these other ones. According to the build guide, they're taking Strong Soul to get more. I think this is more fortitude and will save, so this is good to have. Just more saves in general are going to benefit us. And then they take expertise. Expertise, I'm going to tell you, is a very useful skill, a very useful feat, and a lot of builds, a lot of melee-based builds will take expertise and improved expertise in their build a lot of the times. Because what expertise does is, while it lowers your AB, like it lowers your AB by a certain amount, it's giving you more to your AC. So as you'll find playing through it, you might have scrolls to summon creatures to help you, or you'll have other teammates in your party, and you can guard them while they try to attack the enemy, and you kind of tank the hits. So what you'll do is you'll end up popping expertise or improved expertise. You're not going to hit the enemy, but if you're guarding them, they're always going to be attacking you, and you're just going to have all that boosted AC to reduce the chances of them hitting you. So it's a skill that just becomes kind of very helpful. And like later down the line, it just becomes super helpful because you can just like pop a True Strike potion, which hella boosts your fucking attack bonus, and then pop improved expertise, and it's not going to matter, and you can just have all high AC while also still being able to like hit your enemy really easily. So it's one of those things you just kind of learn as you go, that like the importance of having it. There are me personally, there are some builds that I won't take improved expertise for, but for the most part, I'll tell you, and most of the people in the community will tell you, if you're a melee class, you should be taking improved expertise if you can. But we'll take that later in the build. Right now, we're just taking basic expertise. All right, now we can customize our character, and we can choose, from whatever heads we want. I'm just going to go with some basic stuff. I'm not going to bother, like, really messing with this guy too much. I'll just select, like, give him some dark hair. I'm not going to give him tattoos or anything. We're just going to go with a very basic look. So once we get here, age doesn't really matter here. You can this is for your own purpose. If you just want to like set yourself up for something, you can here, but this doesn't really mean anything. The name, I'll have it generate us a name. Good enough. And then here we can select a voice set. We can go through here and
get them! Bring down their doom! Attack the fools!
we can just look at all different voices.
Attack those dogs! Attack the enemy! Attack the enemy! Destroy the enemy! Taste steel, villain!
So, that's the one I like to do every now and then.
On my order, attack! Attack the enemy! I'll have your head for— Give them hell! Attack!
There was one that I like to use a little bit.
Destroy the enemy! You cannot win!
Yeah, screw it. We'll take that. All right. Once that's done, we're going to hit play. It's going to bring us into the opening screen. Now, what I'm going to tell you right now is don't click on anything yet. Let this load up. If for some reason you end up clicking out of this menu in the top left here, you can screw a lot of stuff up, and you can't bring this menu back up. So if for some reason you click on something else and this menu disappears, you're going to have to delete the character and remake a whole new character. It's just, there's no command to bring this menu back up in here while you're still here. So we're going to hit continue. It's just letting us know information about the server. So this is what I was talking about before. If you decide you want to play in the Underdark as a human, you can do so in two options. You can either select yourself as a slave, which will put you in basically, you know, slave prisoner chains, and you start at level 1 down there. Because that guy was there. Careful not to click on anything, but you can start in like slave chains, and basically I think it's after like level 5 you can be owned by another player in the Underdark that can essentially purchase you, and then you're their slave while you play under there and stuff. There's a lot of rules behind the slavery stuff, so don't feel like it's like, oh, I would never do that. You know, there's a lot of rules behind you know, being a slave and what slave owners and stuff can do on the server. It's nothing cruel, nothing crazy like that. Trust me, it actually is a pretty positive experience. And honestly, playing as a slave isn't the worst thing on this server, and you can learn a lot too, because people who get you as a slave, they want to see what kind of skills you have, and then they'll work very hard to make sure that you fit what they need, right? So you can kind of essentially have yourself a little bit of a mentor while you learn to play and just play as a slave. So it's not the worst thing in the world as an option here. But the other option is an outcast. It means you're an exile. You're your own free will in the Underdark, but you're exiled from the surface, meaning that you're going to have an exiled tag on you. So when people see you on the surface, like, they'll see that you're an exile, and like nobody in the settlements, they'll kick you out of most settlements and such because they don't want anything to do with you, right? Because you're just like, you've done something so heinous and evil on the surface that now the surface sees you as, like, you know, something very wrong to be there. But if you don't want to do either one of those, you can just select no background, which then allows us to just be a normal folk on the surface. So we'll select no background. And these are the gifts I was talking about. So as a human, because we're at a 0 ECL, we get 2 major gifts and 1 minor gifts. So you have the selection of major gifts, and you can view through here of different ones, like different gifts. So there's a lot of gifts that are considered major, and a good chunk of them that are considered minor. But for the sake of this build, we're going to need to take Gift of Might to boost our strength by 2, and we're going to take Gift of Endurance to give us more health, boost our constitution up. Now we've still got that minor gift, right? And there's a lot of different options you have depending on what you wanna select. I know you can't see some of them because of my camera, but it basically, you have different skills that you can either boost, whether it's like bluff, spot, hide, move silent, perform, sleight of hand, different stuff. You have one that boosts how many additional languages you can learn. There are different languages you can speak on the server, so this is like a way to like learn different ones. You have resistances. There's also other ones here which, like, if you want to be able to be a better crafter, you can choose this to help boost your crafting skills. Maybe you're not a druid or a ranger, but you want to do herbalism. You may want to take green fingers so that you can like tend to plants and boost like the yield you'll get from plants. Maybe your guy was a rich boy, a noble of some kind, or just some guy who owns a company somewhere else or whatever, and so he's just passively getting gold. You can say the Gift of Wealth, which will just give you passive income per in-game month. You'll just get like a chunk of passive income and stuff. So I have this on a few characters. It can be helpful for some. You have Gifted Devotion. I know you can't read it here because of my camera, but basically what Gifted Devotion does is that usually as a cleric, you can like consecrate and desecrate altars in the game in the name of your god. What Gift of Devotion does is basically gives you that ability without having to be a cleric. You have like Gift of the Sailor as well. I think for the sake of this, though, we're just going to take Gift of the Craftsmanship. Just there. So with the Gift of Craftsmanship, it is going to boost our ECL by 1 more. The 2 major gifts boosted our ECL by 1 each, so we had 2. The Gift of Craftsman, now we have 3 ECL, which again is not that bad. After that, you can select the height of your character, whether you want him to be short, below average, average, above average, or tall, depending on how you know your height. You can mess around with this to determine what you want to do with your height. So once you're done with that and you confirm, now we need to level up again. The requirements to leave the character creation area is you need to at least be level 2. And so they automatically give you level 2. So now we'll select fighter for a 2nd level. I'm still not going to bother with points because I already know we're going to have a 3rd level coming. However, you may want to start putting points into your skills that you want to do already. So we're just going to hit OK. I'm going to select my 2nd feat. What does he do for this build? Okay, this build we're taking weapon focus. And we'll just start with one-handed edged, just so we can have like a sword. All right. So once we're here, we're now level 2. We could technically leave the starting zone and go where we want to go to. However, there are options of things you can do while you're still here if you want to. You don't have to do it now, whatever. Every character starts with some base kit stuff. And, well, I guess you can't really see it because of... Can I do it this way? I wonder if I can split it so you can... There we go. So your character will have some base kit stuff that he starts with that can help you out a little bit in the beginning. As a fighter, they give you some splint mail. They give you, like, a large shield.